I think at this point, I cannot dance to save my life.
Me too.
Oh, yes. But then definitely, we really have to learn how to dance this because the time is coming.
Oh, yeah.
A time is coming for this.
Yeah, I can dance to Meru songs, but not today.
Ah, okay. And actually, speaking of which, by the way, so earlier this month, there was a whole scuffle in Kitengela because the wife of the deceased of a man was denied to the family, was denied the man the whole chance to bury the deceased back home. So we'll have this particular conversation to just understand the whole relevance of dowry.
Dowry, and mostly I think it brings a significance in the traditional and the culture, different cultures. Different people practice dowry in different ways. It will be interesting to learn from both a couple and also the religious view of it here.
And not only that, also now in our specific and respective countries, I mean, we are TV47. So in our respective countries, we'll be getting the sentiments of the traditionalists and also Wananchi Palenje. What are they saying concerning the whole relevance of dowry out here? But ladies first in our panel, we can always introduce them. On my left, Barnabas Choki.
Good evening, good morning, sorry. Good morning, viewers. Yes.
And the wife.
Yes, Grace Choki. Yes. Good morning, married, and a marriage coach and a relationship coach too.
Right.
Thank you.
Bishop Dr. David Makimei there.
Yeah.
Of course, welcome.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm David Makimei, the Bishop of Jesus New Life Ministries, in brief, Jenelim, right at Roiro, near Satatu City.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you for creating time and welcome to the show. Yeah.
Ladies first, though, we're curious, Mrs. Achoki, what was the experience like in all this, the whole dowry negotiations and all this? How was the experience?
Well, thank you. My experience was, I can say that it was interesting. That's the word. It was interesting because I don't think I had really understood what the dowry meant to my people. I come from a community where they believe that dowry must be paid, and it must be paid in money. You must pay money, but the livestock also must be paid. So there are about like 3 meetings, and the first meeting I was shocked because I thought this was just a time when Barnabas would come with his friends and that's it. But lo and behold, there were so many people from my side. So that showed me that that was a very serious thing. And they were demanding for a little more than should be on the first visit. So I was in shock and I was very disappointed. I remember when the guests had gone home that day and they had left, I really cried. I cried and cried and cried. Cried and asked them, don't you want me to be married? And they said, no, we want you to be married, but we want them to know that we are giving them a precious gem.
How old are you then, though? I'm curious.
I don't know if I can say this on set, but I was young. You don't ask a lady how old she was, but I was in my late 20s. Yes.
Right.
It's an interesting thing that you've mentioned concerning money. And perhaps it's time now to bring up that question of compared to the past and now the way of paying dowry nowadays. Have people made dowry a money-making venture? Yeah, Pasi, you can answer that.
Wow, well, that's and by the way, it's a very interesting topic. It's really needed in the society. Let me say, we can trace the aspect of commercialization nowadays because it's like people are stating this is what we want. And the moment one person on this side places demand, that becomes a trade. And you'll find from the religious point of view, I've not seen anywhere in the Bible where it was demanded by the parent of whoever, the lady getting married. But you'll find people like Abraham is the one sending the servant to go and take dowry or carried in by 10 camels, going to take to where Rebecca was born. And that tells me we need to look at it from, if it is my initiative, I'm the one getting married, I'm going to get my lover, it should come from my heart that I take that. I may have too much, I may have too little. I think the aspect is, where am I taking it? I'm the one going. I would seek blessings. I would also go and say thank you that you are giving me a partner. But when it is demanded from that end, there should be a lot of care taken to that.
Okay.
Right. Barnabas, I mean, definitely the wife says you did a great job there. But now curious, so early this month, even as we're starting as how we were quoting it, there's a whole scuffle in Kitengela. Yeah. And according to the family of the wife, quote unquote, of the deceased, they were saying, well, you cannot marry this woman because you did not pay the bride price. What should have been done in such kind of, what really happens in such kind of situations? I mean, it's not an isolated case, really. You've definitely had this, and even as a marriage counselor, you've encountered such. What should happen in such a scenario?
Thank you so much for this. This is a very important topic, as the Bishop has said, because we are having now situations where people, in what arrangements we say, come we stay. Marriage has to be, in a way, made official. And there are different ways in which you can establish or say that we are married. Now, there are those who go to church as Christians. The wedding is conducted in a church. Then they are considered man and wife. There's a legal way you can go to the ages and get married. Traditionally, marriage was considered when you had paid a bride price or dowry. Now, without payment of dowry, that marriage was not recognized by the community. And probably that's what happened in the Kitengela case, because as far as the other side were concerned, these people are not married. However long you have lived with this person and you haven't shown an indication that you are married, you haven't taken something on the other side, traditionally, that's not considered a marriage. The marriage was cemented when the man had brought and paid a bride price. That's when the marriage was recognized as a marriage. I think even by law, that's how they recognize you as a customary marriage. It's recognized by the fact that they are witnesses. That's why they're normally, Grace talked about many people. Those are witnesses who come to witness that actually, and so this one is so-and-so's wife. Or,
right.
Yeah.
Right. And now, Flora, we've definitely hearing from the expert's opinion. But now, even from where you come from, the whole Gusii community, I'm curious how this is done.
Yes.
Tukifiko Kombele pia nijue how this is. Our very own Alfayo Kombo is on standby for this particular conversation. Alfayo, good morning. And even as our folksmen there say, Wakire, how do, what are the people there really saying on the whole relevance of dowry, even in Nyamira and also in Kisii? Alfayo Kombo, good morning. People back there in Nyamira, in Kisii, what do they say about the relevance of a dowry?
Thank you very much, Stanley Nyaringita and Flora Alimuki from this side of Gusii Cultural Hall. With me here, I have the Gusii Culture Elder. With me, we will be explaining to us a lot of things about the Gusii culture dowry and the dowry payments and what is done if maybe the two partners have divorced. And they'll be telling us in the broad what is done and what it entails about the Gusii culture. Maybe Wakire.
Akire buya itongo mo church itongo no kaya.
Yeah. If you may greet our viewers and tell them what's your name and who are you?
Good morning everyone. Wakire buya nchenkuru kumwalimu Bino Nyambane. Naitwa Mwalimu Bino Nyambane kutoka kitengo cha utamaduni katika ugatuzi wa Kisii.
If you may tell us in broad what is dowry in Gusii and what it means.
Dowry in our setting was simply ile mahari inatolewa unapochukua mke. When you're going to marry, there is that you have to commit to the other family, that you are going to be responsible, that you are going to take care of the person who has come under your care, and that commitment was shown by the way of dowry. So it was a very important ingredient in marriage, because dowry was given by the community. It was not individual. In our understanding of our culture, dowry was cementing relationships between families, so that in case there is issue, it makes relatives increase in number. What do I mean? Your family comes together with my family, and then we make a bigger family. Dowry was the bridge of these two families, because in our community, getting babies, procreation of children, was a very important aspect of being. So if you are married and there is no dowry in between, then ownership, remember we are patriarchal, ownership of these people will bring an issue later in life. Our watoto ni wanani? So to make sure that our watoto wana uzazi wao already, then dowry was a must. And that is why it was very essential that you have to pay dowry as you marry. For cases where dowry has not been paid, it becomes an issue when one partner dies or leaves. Why? That commitment was so sacred. That commitment was sacrosanct. So you are not supposed to just leave it. And remember, when you are being married in our community, you are not married to just that individual ule umejua. Kwanza huko unamjua in our traditional culture. You are brought a partner ne sigani. Sigani is the mediator. Ulikuwa unaletewa mjomba, unakaa na yeye, ndio urafiki na mapenzi yanaanza kukua. So,
meaning in the Kisii community, marriage, the man and the woman never knew each other. It was just a woman was brought, and you love generates.
Yeah, we had types of marriages. There is this one which was major, where you didn't know your partner, lakini your parents and the community organizes for you. And they are the most successful so far, I can say. Then there is this other one where you got your partner, and then you sent people and negotiations started. That was another one. And there was another one where we admire a girl, the other side, and we do research and find out if we are not related by blood and what have you. You just go and carry and bring her. After you brought her, then you start negotiations. Those were types of marriages. But all these types of marriages, there was dowry.
This process of dowry now.
Yes. The process of dowry involved the elders of the community. And they sat and agreed how many cows should be given, how many goats, and what type of celebration. And it was two-way. There was the first steps of knowing the home of the lady, and then them coming to the home of the man. And even after dowry, there was still transport of food, types of food, to confirm cementing the relationship. This was very essential. If your mother-in-law does not bring ugali, ya wimbi, after the marriage, after the ceremony of marriage, and the finishing of dowry, then there was a problem. Because that was to cement and to, it is interesting. The interesting bit is I cannot tell you, because of morals, how the food was brought and why, and even the names of the types of food. There were about 2-3 types of food brought. The naming. This was anyway to justify and cement the relationship. If you happen to separate, then the cows were returned, depending on how many children you have gotten. The cows could be returned so that they untie you to be free to go and get married elsewhere. Get this. If the cows were not returned and you moved out and even got married, you still belong to the first person that married you. So hata ukipata watoto, huyu agochiete nyumba, yani huyu aliingia tu kwa nyumba yako, lakini hao watoto ni wa yule alilipa mahari kwanza. Yeah? Even if you agree, culturally, hata ukifa, you will be buried in that man's home. But there was a condition to untie you if you divorced. And the elders came together, some cows were returned, and then there was a ceremony, a ritual of separating you and setting you free. If it is not done, then you are still married to that person.
Okay.
Even
you have just told us that with these cows who have been returned, depending on the number of children that had been sired in that family.
Yes.
Let's say, for example, in the past we used to get that a man could have even 15 children with one man, and with one woman.
Yeah,
and we get that this woman dowry that was paid is like 20 cows. What criteria could be done?
No, the criteria was there with the elders. They were the superior. They were the superior decision makers of the community. So they could sit and agree that now, if this has reached this level, we are going to return such number of cows so that we separate these people. And when the cows were returned, everything else. Lakini, you see, wale watoto walipatikana hapa will not be returned. That is why some cows must be minors. And then these cows, the relationship of the cows is that they were also supposed to take care of the siblings of the children. So you cannot return them all.
Okay. Thank you very much, Stanley Nyarngita, as our viewers have been able to get it and be able to be elaborated on how important was the dowry payment and what happens in case of a divorce in the old cultural of the Abagusi community. That's all that we have from these sides of Kisii with the Director of Culture, that is Obino Nyambane, from this side of Kisii. I don't have much to say that I will be passing back the mantle to you, back to studio, Stanley Nyarngita and Flora.
Right, and even as our folksman back there saying, Biamonusana Alfayo Combo, that means thank you very much. I've definitely learned quite a lot and writing notes. But we're taking a short break. When we come back, we continue this conversation with the experts right here and also in different parts of the country, just getting to know how different communities do this particular, the whole bride price and the whole relevance. Remember, you can always be part of this particular conversation. You can always call in live and tell us, what do you think? Is it still relevant? You can always talk to us. 22047 is our SMS number, at TV47 News, that is on X, at TV47KE, on Facebook, at Limuki_F, and Nyarngita_. Stick around.
Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Cafe right here on TV 47, and the conversation today is concerning the whole dowry issue across different communities in the country. And keep interacting with us at TV 47 News on X, TV 47 Kenya on Facebook. The hashtag is Morning Cafe. But even before we get back to our conversation, let's link up with our reporter Chichi Josephine from all the way in Nakuru County to give us a gist of what the Nubian community and the Kalenjin community dowry process looks like and what is done really. Good morning, Chichi. If you can hear me clearly, to update us.
Limuki, a very good morning to you. And like you said, yes, today we're talking about the whole idea of dowry. And dowry, for generations, has defined two people who come together, or rather coming together in marriage. And dowry ceremonies vary depending on cultures, but in most, of course, they vary depending on where you come from. Like, for example, I come from a culture that is well known, that is the Kikuyu culture. But today I will be talking from an elder who is from a Kalenjin culture, and also I have another who is from a Nubian culture. So we will get to know what is the essence of this particular dowry, or what does it really mean? What does it actually mean? Does it mean once you want to marry, probably you have to, or is it a compulsory thing to do depending on the culture that you come from? Therefore, allow me get to know more about what happens in the Kalenjin culture in matters dowry. Bwana Benson, tunazungumzia mahari leo. Na wakati ambapo tunazungumzia mahari, tunajiuliza swali moja. Hadi sasa na karne ya sasa, umuhimu wa mahari ni upi?
Asante sana.
Hususan katika jamii yako.
Asante sana, naitwa Benson Kipiegon. Nataka niongee juu ya mambo ya dowry. Waingereza waliweka ile jina dowry wakijua hiyo ina umuhimu wake. Because dowry ni jina ya kutoka kule kwao. Lakini sisi hasa kwa jamii ya Wakalenjin tunaichukuliwa jambo hiyo kama ni jambo la muhimu ya kuweza kukutanisha jamii mbili. Jamii ya kina msichana na jamii ya kina kijana. Wanaponenda kufanya mambo ya kwa Kikalenjin tunaita koita. Koita ni ile kuposwa kwa msichana. Kitu ya kwanza, kitu wanaongea hasa mambo wewe ni ya ukoo gani. Ya pili wanakuja kuongea mambo ya mahari. Hii mahari wanakaa kwanza, wanaongea, alafu kuna jambo ambayo inafanywa na mama mzazi na mama ya kijana na mama ya msichana. Wanapakana mafuta. Wakishapakana mafuta, wameitakaza ile sherehe ya koita. Na ni muhimu sana wakati anapotakaza. Hiyo ni jamii mbili kuonyesha wameshakuwa na umoja, wanaungana katika maisha yao watu wawili ambayo wanaenda kupanga mambo ya ndoa. Sisi kama jamii ya Wakalenjin, katika maisha ya mtu kuna step 3. Ya kwanza unaposaliwa, ya pili unaenda tohara, ya tatu unaenda kufanya ndoa. Hiyo ni ya muhimu sana katika maisha ya mtu wowote ambaye ni kutoka jamii ya Mkalenjin. Because asipopitia ile mambo ya kwenda kufanya hiyo koita ili aweze kwenda kukutana na kutoa mahari, itakuwa hiyo jamii bado haijakutana. Na inauliza, iko na maswali nyingi sana kule ndani. Hasa kwanza, huyu mtu ni ya jamii gani? Huyu msichana ni wa jamii gani? Huyu kijana ni wa jamii gani? Hapo sasa ndio inaenda kukutanisha ili waweze kuongea mambo ya mahari. Kwa sasa naangalia katika jamii yetu ya Wakalenjin, tunaweza kuweza kuwekelea hiyo culture ya kutoa mahari. Sababu mahari ni kukutanisha hiyo jamii. Unaweza kuta jamii nyingine iko chini sana, jamii nyingine iko juu, na wanakaa pamoja ili waweze kugawanya ile mahari wako nayo. Unakuta jamii saizi ya Wakalenjin, najua ng'ombe imekuwa chache. Zamani kulikuwa na ng'ombe. Unakuta kitu ya kwanza, kijana anaulizwa katika ile boma yao, watatoa ng'ombe kiasi fulani. Ambaye hizo ng'ombe zilikuwa zinatolewa ng'ombe 4, ambayo ni 3 na ndume na njao na mbuzi kadhaa. Hizo zote zinakuja kwa kina msichana na inakuja ili kukutanisha ile familia.
Na ilikuwa ni lazima iwe ni ng'ombe ama kondoo ama mbuzi ama pesa? Kulikuwa na labda kitu kingine?
Kwa sasa imebadilika kidogo, lakini wakati kule ya zamani kidogo, wakati mababu zetu na wazee wale wengine, ilikuwa ni ya dhamana kutoa mahari yenyewe, ile kitu inatembea. Saizi wameweka mambo mengine, wanasema wanataka kuiona bahasha. Lakini mbeleni ulikuwa unatoa ile kitu inatembea, ili wazazi wanaenda kubadilishana, wanaenda boma ya kwa kina kijana wanabadilishana, na ile mahari inabadilishwa inaenda kwa kina msichana. Saizi naona mambo imeanza kubadilika. Ukienda kwa jamii nyingine unasikia wanataka bahasha. Na ile bahasha unakuta ng'ombe moja wanaweka value yake shilingi 1,100. Wanasema hiyo ni ng'ombe ya maziwa. Kwa ng'ombe ine hiyo ni 1,450. Hii vijana wetu wa saizi tunawaita asala. Watapata wapi hiyo 1,450 kulipa ile mahari?
Na labda ni lazima mahari itolewe.
Mahari lazima itolewe. Kwa jamii ya Kalenjin mahari ni lazima itolewe. Hata kama itachukua muda ni lazima itolewe, sababu isipotolewa itafunga ile baraka kutoka kwa kina wazazi kwa kwenda kwa kina kijana. Kwa hivyo mahari ni lazima itolewe. Na nikisema jambo la mwisho, jamii zote katika nchi ya Kenya tumeiga hiyo mfano ili tuweze kujua ya kwamba hao watu wawili wamekuwa na msingi katika maisha yao ya siku ya uzoni, ili wale wajukuu watapokazaliwa hawatahangaika. Wakienda kwa kina wajomba watakunywa maziwa, akikuja upande hii mwingine kwa kina kijana pia atakunywa maziwa. Na hiyo ndio umuhimu ya hiyo mahari, sababu unaweza kuta jamii nyingine hawana ng'ombe, huyu mjomba akienda huko atakunywa maziwa namna gani? Yeah.
Shukran. Niweze kuzungumza na Sheikh. Sheikh, naelewa wewe unatoka katika jamii ya Wanubi. Labda kuhusiana na mahari mnafanya vipi?
Kwanza nakushukuru kwa kunikaribisha. Katika jamii yetu sisi Wanubi huwa hatuendi na unubi tu moja kwa moja. Ni lazima Uislamu uwe ndio mbele, alafu unubi unafuatia. Sasa katika jamii yetu, kwanza neno mahari huwa ni senti ambazo anapewa mwanamke mwenyewe. Kisha kuna mali. Hapo lazima tutofautishe. Kuna mali na mahari. Mali ni ile wazee ambayo watakaa familia wakubaliane kwamba tunataka kwa mtoto wetu, tunataka kiasi kitu fulani, tunataka blanketi, tunataka hivi. Hiyo inakuwa ni ya familia. Lakini mahari ni ya mwanamke mwenyewe. Sasa mwanamke ndio anatamka mahari yake, si wazazi. Anaweza kusema mimi mahari yangu shilingi 20,000, mahari yangu shilingi 1,100, na hiyo analipwa yeye mwenyewe.
Kumaanisha iwapo ni mimi naolewa, ni mimi nitasema ninahitaji kiasi fulani cha mahari.
Ndio, ni wewe utasema, sio wazazi wako. Hiyo inakuwa ni yako wewe, kwa sababu Mwenyezi Mungu amemtakasa mwanamke. Kwa hiyo ile inakuwa ni tunu kwa mwanamke. Kwa hiyo hiyo ni yake yeye. Alafu mali sasa ndio ile wazazi wanakubaliana, wanasema sisi tunataka labda kitu fulani, tunataka blanketi ya wazazi, tunataka hivyo, ndio huwa inafanyika. Na jambo hili kabla watu kukaa pamoja huwa inaandikwa labda barua au inatumwa ujumbe kwamba tunakuja kwa familia yenu, tunakuja kugonga mlango. Kwa hiyo wazee wale wa bibi watakutana, wataita watu wao, mkae pamoja, mjadiliane, kisha mtaandika kina upande wa kike wataandika barua ya kwamba tunataka vitu fulani fulani, tunataka labda mchele kiasi fulani, kitu fulani kwa sababu ya kukaribisha wageni, kitu kama hicho. Alafu wale wanaume nao familia yao itapokea ile barua, baadaye wataisoma, wataangalia kama kuna kitu chochote cha kupunguza watapunguza, kama kuna kitu cha kuongeza kwa sababu labda wanaona wageni watakuwa wengi pia wanaongeza. Alafu sasa watu wanapitishana mahabari hivyo, kwa sababu katika sisi jamii ya Wanubi hakuna ile kamu, inasemekana ile kamu stay. Katika Uislamu
upitie njia ambayo inafaa.
Ndio, kweli katika sisi hakuna, kwa sababu hata wale watoto itikom kiwazaa katika njia kama ile, wale watoto hawezi kurithi. Ni makosa. Kwa sababu nikipatikana kwamba nimekwenda nimepata mtoto nje, ikifika wakati wa urithi, unajua sisi urithi wetu unaingia moja kwa moja katika kitabu cha Mwenyezi Mungu. Kwa hiyo yule mtoto atakuwa hana urithi.
Labda tuweke wazi kuhusiana na umuhimu wa mahari katika jamii yako.
Mahari au mali?
Mahari.
Mahari ni umuhimu kwa sababu Mwenyezi Mungu amesema na mwalipe wanawake mahari zao. Hiyo ni full stop. Kitu ambacho amesema Mwenyezi Mungu basi. Alafu ile ya mali ndio inasemekana kwamba wanawake, yani baada ya kulipa mahari, Mwenyezi Mungu akasema kwamba pia ni vizuri kama katika yale mliokubaliana pia mnaweza kulipa. Na
tunajua jamii nyingi wanatumia ng'ombe, mbuzi, nini. Sijui kama katika jamii ya Wanubi kuna kutumia ng'ombe, mbuzi na hawa wanyama?
Unajua siku hizi vitu vyote vimeingizwa ndani moja kwa moja kwenye pesa. Wanaweza kusema wanataka ng'ombe labda kwa sababu ya kufanya jambo fulani, lakini sasa siku hizi mambo yote yamekwenda kwenye pesa. Sababu unakuta wengine wanakaa mjini, atatoa wapi ng'ombe? Au pengine mimi nakaa mjini, ukiniletea ng'ombe kwa sababu ya msichana wangu, nitakaa naye wapi? Sasa inakuwa wana convert na pesa.
Kwa hivyo lakini mahari ni lazima.
Mahari ni lazima, kwa sababu hata leo nikiwa nimemuoa mke wangu na nimelipa mahari nusu na sijamaliza, siku nitakayoaga dunia pengine watoto wangu itabidi walipe ile mahari au ndugu zangu walipe. Ni lazima, kwa sababu kitu ya kwanza watauliza, mahari yako mume wako alikuwa ameshalipa? Akisema bado, alikuwa hajalipa, basi hakuna kuzikwa kwanza mpaka mtakapokubaliana.
Shukran sana Sheikh kwa wakati wako. Therefore, Flora, that is all we have from this particular county. We have talked to an elder from the Kalenjin culture, and also I've talked to an elder from the Nubian culture. Of course, they have different cultures, different beliefs, and also they believe that coming to the matter of dowry, they have to do it probably differently. But we all know that in the African culture, dowry is a must, and it is also a sign to show that a man is committed to taking care of a wife, and also it shows that one is upholding their particular cultures. Therefore, that is all we have from Nakuru County. Over to you, Limuke. My name is Chichi Josephine.
Well, Chichi Josephine, thank you for that, and very interesting stories there from the Nubian community as well as the Kalenjin community.
Oh yes, I'm actually curious. I mean, the Nubian leader was saying that for them, now the lady gets to choose. I'm curious. Limuki, will you quote a price? How much will you quote?
Well, I wouldn't quote a price. I'd go for the normal cows or camels or goats. Yeah, I tend to think marriage should not be made, or dowry process should not be made a commercial thing. Yeah, and even as we come back to our experts here in studio, I would ask, as a counsellor, Barnabas, yes, have you experienced cases of couples where after now getting married or during the dowry process, if someone didn't follow the due process or they didn't finish the whole process of paying the dowry, does this bring conflict within the couples over time?
Yes and no. Now, yes, in this way. If a lady has been staying with somebody and there has not been any formal engagement, obviously she feels insecure in the relationship, and so it will be, most of their conflict will be arising from that. The lady wants to be secured. She wants to know that I am your wife. And so often the question will be, I'm here as who? You see, so something must have been done to formalize that marriage. And so that then can bring a problem. But if dowry has been paid, again, it depends on how the process was. I think Grace shared earlier about how the process went. So if probably the man felt that he was ripped off, and the unfortunate thing today is that we have commercialized this dowry business. So the man may give whatever he gave, but sometimes it may leave him with a lot of bitterness in his heart. And so later on, when there are issues in the marriage, that this can always be brought up and say, look, I paid this amount of money. And so he now brings out that bitterness into the relationship, and that can affect the marriage itself. And so again, depends on how it was done. Or if, and then see nowadays what happens is, the lady herself, he was asking about the Nubian. Now, in this case, the ladies, because they know the state of the person going to marry them, yeah, so they agree on how much and how they will support the man in bringing the dowry. And there are, unfortunately, some men who now take advantage of that. And so the lady actually ends up paying her own dowry. Mm-hmm. And that can leave the lady feeling that, you didn't even pull your weight in us coming together. And so that can be a cause of conflict and a lot of issues later on in the marriage.
But then, Grace, it's interesting, I mean, even for Flo and I, that, I mean, we're young, having this discussion. But then the younger generation, they are looking at this and they're like, what are you guys talking about? I mean, the whole story of come we stay. Yeah, utaita tu mpoa wako mkuje mtulie. But then now later, that particular case of now the family and the in-laws, they're like, well, as much as meishi 20 plus years, how could PTA process? So there's no way, you'll probably bury all that. My thinking is, it might reach a point in the coming years that the whole bride price, the whole significance of it will start to erode. And ifike mahali, people don't really, think about it as much. Will you agree?
Well, again, I would say yes and no. No, because remember that the bride price is paid so that there is the two families are coming together. I think that is one aspect that young people still do not understand. That the two families are coming together. It's not just the man and the woman coming together, but it's the two families coming together as one. Because as one, then you can do mighty things. And just the relationship that you're building with your in-laws is important. Because if something happens to you or something happens to your children, then it's easy for your in-laws to come and step in. But if you're just having a come we stay, who knows where you are? Who knows, where the children are? Who knows who the children and where they are? So relationship is important, and it builds a lot of relationship. So I'm not seeing that really coming to an end because of that aspect of the relationship. I'm sure that in our days, we would still want that. Now, but on the flip side of it, I don't think that it should be commercialized. I think that it's a token that you're giving to the parents of the girl to say that, hey, this is something that we are giving to you as a token, just the way I can come to your house. If I went to Flora's house, I don't just go, mkono tupu. Yeah. I go with maybe a packet of milk and bread. So in the same way, if I'm coming to my in-laws' place, I am coming not just to tell them that we have come for your daughter, but I'm coming with something. But then now I'm curious, when you say something, yeah. I love the fact that you mentioned a packet of bread and maziwa, zingine 2 kg sukari. But then that whole process of negotiation, you'd be quoted, utaambiwa, huyu msichana wetu ameenda PhD, amefanya masters, amefanya hizi zote. So labda utoe
1 million.
Labda
hata 1 million kidogo, labda utoe hata 20 million. And Indian families, I mean, even in our research, taking a look at some families saying that, well, they had to be told in the first year of the marriage, they have to clear that. So what really dictates now all that? That unaambiwa, this is the quote that you're having because of ABCD. I think that's a rip-off. Because if you can ask for 1 million, 20 million and all that, remember that these are children who are starting life together. What will eventually happen is that man, like what Barnabas said, will be so bitter. And eventually when there is conflict, he will always project his anger to you. Because he's remembering, I had to work so hard, my family had to work so hard to pay 1 million for you. And here you're misbehaving, or here you're not making me that cup of tea. So you as the lady, as much as you're proud that yes, they paid 1 million or 20 million or whatever it was, you're going to pay back in other ways because this man may not let you go. So I think that when it came to dowry, it was kind of like a banter. It wasn't something that it had to be 1 million. It was something to just, the way you can meet with your friends and you're just having fun. So these two families were actually getting to know each other and having fun. So it was not meant to be that we are selling this person. And human being cannot be bought with money. We are much more worth than money itself. I can't say today you cost 40 million. Because you have blood, you have everything that God has given you. So I cannot put a price tag on a lady and say this is what you're worth. So that is just an appreciation. And I think for people who have gone that notch higher of now charging and saying this must be paid within the 1 year, it's a danger zone. Unachimbia watoto, kaburi zao, because it is not right for you to ask for so much, and yet these two people have a long way to go. You have made it. You who are sitting there have made it. You have your land, you have everything. These two people are starting their life. So allow them to grow, even if they have to pay something small, because eventually it comes back to the man, not the family of the man. In most cases, what we have seen, it comes back to the man.
The family will help you, but the larger chunk will really come from the man. So allow the two people to grow in their relationship.
Interesting. And even as we come to you, Bishop David, from your own experience, how has then religious beliefs, how do they intersect with the concept of dowry in today's society?
Well, let me first of all reflect on the Nubians. I think I've liked that because I think when the lady is allowed to demand, she'll be varying the weight of her friend. And I think that's a very interesting thing. I think, as you said, we need to learn these cultures from all corners. Let me also say this. Looking at this issue of dowry, I think we should analytically look at the purpose, the process, and also the profit. Because looking at this, leaving the ground of commercialization, the Bible that I refer to when I am preaching, Proverbs 18 and verse 22, the Bible says that he who fights a wife fights a good thing and obtains favor from God. I want you to mark God, that God is involved in that. Anything to do with the marriage, as it happened in the Garden of Eden between Adam and Eve, God initiated. If you look at the same Proverbs chapter 19 verse 14, it says that houses and riches are the inheritance from fathers, but a good wife comes from the Lord. So I'm trying to bring this concept that when we look at the bride price, we should be arguing about blessings and curses. Reason is, I want to take her as my wife. I should have the reasoning in my mind that this is not another commodity I'm picking from the street. This is somebody that behind her a lot has been done. So that should be an appreciation point of view. I'm going there. And number two, because a lot has been done, not by my age mate, by parent, I need them to bless me. And that's why I would say, like the many men who are there demanding, if you ask from the background, maybe some of them paid nothing or very little. But now they want to demand because there is an opportunity. And that's why you find in every wedding. That is the time when even auntie from Erbagon and from Nanyuki, they are all coming, even that particular morning of the wedding, it's like they want to block. But I want to say this. It is true, they need to be appreciated. There should be blessings. So the main purpose here is we need to seek blessings. And me as the father or the mother of the girl who is leaving, I think we should set them with the blessings. It is important to know biblically that dowry is there. Even Adam himself, actually, it was an operation for the rib to be removed and to make a woman. Dowry is there.
Are there verses that directly refer to dowry in the Bible?
Come again?
Are there verses that refer to the whole concept of dowry?
No, when you look at it, it is the issue of marriage in the Bible. It is on the platform of celebrations, appreciations, coming together. And that's why you find, I said from the beginning, Abraham is setting to have to come with something. If you look at many other marriages, it is not stated. Like now, Mary, the mother of Jesus, when she was engaged, and Joseph was waiting for that opportune time of marriage. You remember the angel coming, and the angel said, now, don't fear again, take her now. I don't want to say maybe in the time of engagement there was not dowry taken, but it's not emphasized.
But Bishop, is there a thin line between the traditional practice that we've had, from Gusii, from the Nubian, from the Kalenjin, and we'll get more. Is that a thin line from how things are done the traditional way and the Christian way? Because a family, let's say a couple, hypothetically, well, they're Christians. They go to a church, they read the Bible and everything. But then they also have the traditional practices here. So does it reach a point where the couple says, wacha tuweke our traditional practices kando and we focus on what you're telling us, the Bible verses and the Christian way? Or they're saying, let's put hii mambo ya kanisa kidogo kando to focus on what sisi watu wa Gusii, what we do?
Actually, they should go together. And this is what I'm saying. Because there is the spiritual aspect of human beings and there is a social aspect. As much as I'm getting married in a church, I belong to a parent. I will be living with people. So the reason I'm bringing this is this. Where it brings the difference, it's the matter of those commodities and what have you. And I have seen a very good agreement, especially where I've been involved in negotiations. I have seen the parent understanding that this son of ours and the daughter, they want it, respected from the context of the church. So anything like, if they feel alcohol is against what they feel, they speak to the parent. And actually during the day, as the men and women are talking, the items that will be mentioned will not be defeating the cause of these young people. So I should say this, and I tell the young people, simply because you feel you have, an uplifted platform, maybe spiritually and all this, we are coming from the parents. I want to tell you, my friend, that today, this is what I advocate in our church.
Okay.
If a member tells me, even if he was the one to serve in the church, and tells me, I feel I have a burden to go home this weekend and be with my father and my mother, let me tell you, I tell the associate pastor that one should be permitted, because I know getting the blessings from the parent coming back to us will also be blessed. So socially, religiously, there is a way. And even the Bible itself is a culture. Those are cultural people. But we emulate them because they involved Yahweh, Jehovah, our creator. That's why we reflect on that.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm definitely learning a lot here. I think Flora, we write notes right here.
I'm actually taking notes. At the moment.
And definitely, I hope back at home you're learning a lot. We're about to take a short break, but remember now after the break, we'll be getting sentiments from the whole Kikuyu community and also the Taita community on how the bride price, is it still relevant back there and in these respective communities? Stick around for that. back, and we're definitely having this particular discussion on the whole relevance of dowry. And kama uko kwa hiyo process hii, you should be right now taking notes. Upate all these tips. We're having experts right in studio. We're having traditionalists from different parts and of the country, different communities. Earlier on, we had Gusii, we also had the Kalenjin, also the Nubian, and we'll be having the Kikuyu and also the Taita. Willie Dennis Njiru from Naivasha in Nakuru County. I believe you can cross over to Nakuru County right now in Naivasha, where Willie Dennis Njiru is having a traditionalist there. Willie Dennis, a very good morning to you. Is dowry still relevant in Naivasha?
Thank you very much, Stanley and Limuki, in our studios in the capital city. Indeed, it is a fantastic day here in Naivasha, where we get to analyze the trends and what the traditions has to bear in the Kikuyu custom as we get to have dowry. Remember, this is so biblical, and across the generations and across tribes and communities across world, across over, we have been having these customs defined on this culture and that culture, but nonetheless, the ultimate word is dowry. We are delighted this morning to have one great man who will be introducing to himself, and he is a renowned man seen across so many places performing these traditions. Saa ninakukaribisha kwa TV47 asubuhi ya leo, ukaweze kutueleza mengi, lakini kwanza jitambulishe.
Asante sana kwa jina, mimi naitwa Kegoshi, Waimeri Kegoshi. Mimi katika ukoo wetu, mimi ni Mogare wa Bareanyaga. Hiyo ndio ile tunasema ukoo. Mnajua ya kwamba hata Yesu Kristo alikuwa katika ukoo ya Yuda, katika nyumba ya Daudi. Kwa hivyo hata sisi wa Kikuyu tuko katika hizo ukoo zetu, na ni za maana sana. Wakati tunaongea juu ya mambo yetu, tuna ukweli ya kwamba kuna haja na umuhimu wakati mtu anajua ni wa ukoo gani. Yeah.
Naam, kuna subject muhimu sana hapa.
Ndio.
Ya mahari.
Ndio.
Tueleze kuhusu custom, kwa sababu unawakilisha Kikuyu. Custom ya Kikuyu katika kutoa mahari.
Jambo la kwanza ni kwamba mimi ndio mkurugenzi katika itikadi na mila zetu za Wakikuyu. Mimi ndio National Director of Culture katika mila yetu ama katika Kikuyu Council of Elders, na mimi ndio naweka ama nahifadhi mila zetu, na kwa Kiingereza tunaweza sema I'm the consultant. Wakati watu wanataka kujua jambo, huwa wananiuliza katika mila zetu. Jambo la kwanza ni kwamba mambo ya kutoa mahari ni jambo ama ni jambo la maana sana katika mila yetu ya Wakikuyu, kwa sababu mwanamke anajulikana ya kwamba ameolewa wakati ametolewa mahari. Kama uko na bibi wawili, watatu, wanne, na bado hata hakuna hata mmoja ambao umetolea mahari, hao si bibi zako. Hata ukinikuta kwa utakani kuniuliza. Kawaida sisi tunajua ya kwamba bibi ya mtu ni yule ametolewa mahari, na ni jambo la maana sana, kwa sababu hata wakati bwana ameenda ama wakati kumekuwa na kesi fulani pale, labda watu wanauliza hii shamba ni ya nani. Sasa kwa sababu bwana ameenda, huyu anatakana kupewa mali. Sisi kama mtu hajatolewa mahali, kuna uwezekano ya kwamba anaweza kosa kurithi huyo mwanaume, kwa sababu hajamuoa awe bibi yake. Kumuoa katika mila yetu ni kutoa mahali awe bibi yako, na katika hiyo kutoa mahali kuna taratibu zile zinafuatwa. Si kwenda siku moja, kuna ile siku ya kujua hiyo nyumba. Unaenda huko, unaanza katika hiyo preliminary, zile vitu za kwanza pale unatoa, alafu utakuwa ukienda huko siku baada ya siku mpaka ufike siku ambayo utaenda kuchinja huko. Wakati unachinja tunasemaga gurario. Wakati unachinja ujue hapo ndio sasa umekuwa na bibi. Bibi ambayo ama ambaye hajatolewa buzi ambayo imechinjwa katika kwao ama nyumbani kwao, huyo si bibi. Bado hawajaweka ile kitu tunasema seal. Kuchinja ndio tunasema hiyo ni seal ya kwamba huyo mtu amekuwa bibi yako kabisa. Tumekuwa na shida katika mila zingine, wanasema kwa nini hao wasichana wenyu wanakuja hapa wanaolewa na vijana wetu, wanakaakaa hata wameharibu pesa alafu mali alafu wanaenda. Watu wengine wajajua ya kwamba kama tumeoa msichana yenyu na bado hatuja kuja tumechinja, ama nyinyi mmeoa msichana wetu na hamja kuja kwetu tumefanya hiyo sherehe, hiyo tunasema inaitwa gurari, hiyo tunachinja tunakula pamoja, bado hauna bibi. Kwa hivyo ni jambo la maana sana. Mambo ya mahari ndio ile tunaweza sema sakramenti ile kubwa sana katika Wakikuyu. Ati kama hujatolea bibi yako mahari, huyo si bibi yako kabisa.
Na, wakati wa nyuma kidogo tulikuwa tunasikia mambo ya mbuzi, ng'ombe. Leo hii zile ng'ombe zimebadilishwa na kuwa hela. Labda bei imepanda ama iko namna gani?
Hiyo ni kweli ya kwamba wakati zamani watu walikuwa wako na shamba kubwa sana. Hata ukipiga mbuzi tunasemaga ni kuletwa, zinaletwa katika nyumba. Wakati unachukua bibi ya msichana wa mtu, unapiga mbuzi zinaingia kwa hiyo nyumba yao. Mbuzi kama 100 ama zaidi. Lakini wakati huu mashamba imekuwa kidogo, wengine wameishi katika matown. Sasa hata mwingine anaishi kwa gorofa. Vile watu walifika hapo, hata ukipelekea mtu hata mbuzi moja inakuwa ni mzigo kwake. Sasa watu waliongea, wazee wakasikizana. Mbuzi zinaweza hata badilishwa ziwe pesa. Lakini hata kama mbuzi inabadilishwa iwe pesa, lazima mwisho mtachinja mbuzi hapo. Mambo ya ng'ombe katika Wakikuyu, ng'ombe si nyingi sana katika dowry. Lakini kuna ile ng'ombe ya maziwa tunaitaga mori. Hiyo ng'ombe iko, inasemekana ni ile ng'ombe kwa sababu ule msichana amelishwa sana na wazazi wake, tunatoa hiyo ng'ombe. Kwa hivyo katika mambo ya dowry, kutoa mahari ya Wakikuyu, ng'ombe si nyingi vile, mbuzi ndizo nyingi. Yeah.
Na kumekuwa na masuala kadhaa ambayo yanaibuka. Unapata kwamba wazazi wengine wanaitisha hela nyingi tu sana, na wakati mwingine unapata kwamba jamaa ametoa hata $500,000 ama hata labda saa nyingine $800,000, alafu unapata masuala kidogo, unapata msichana kidogo anapita hivi, alafu inakuwa ni machungu sana kwa jamaa kwa sababu ametoa hela nyingi, anapata kwamba mama ule msichana si mwaminifu.
Ukweli wa mambo ni kwamba kuna wengine wanaenda juu sana katika kuitisha zile wakati buzi zimewekwa kama hera. Buzi wakati zimewekwa ati buzi ni za kuja katika dowry, haihesabiwi kama buzi vile unaweza enda sokoni useme nataka hii buzi uuziwe 10,000, 8,000. Hapana. Kwa sababu wakati buzi zilikuwa zinaletwa kwa kina msichana, zilikuwa zinaletwa hata buzi dogo inahesabiwa ni buzi. Hata kama ni buzi ya siku 2, ikiingia kwa hiyo nyumba inahesabiwa 1, 2. Kwa hivyo ndio sababu unaona buzi zinahesabiwa pesa kidogo. Unaweza sikia umeambiwa mtaleta buzi 100 hapa kwetu na buzi moja ni shilingi 3,000 ama shilingi 2,000. Lakini watu katika dowry, katika hii mambo ya kupeleka mahari ni kusikizana. Kuna watu hata unaweza waambia buzi moja ni shilingi 2,000 ama 3,000. Nasema hapana, tutakupatia 4,000. Sisi tuko na pesa, yani hiyo haiwezi ulizwa. Lakini kwa kawaida buzi hata zile zimeenda juu sana, buzi moja haijapita 3,000. Kwa hivyo ni mambo ya kusikizana, kama vile tunasema na Kiingereza dowry negotiation. Hapo ndio negotiation zinaingilia. Yeah.
Sasa inakuwaje huyu jamaa ametoa shilingi 200,000-3 kwa msichana, alafu unapata kwamba mambo ya infidelity inaingia pale na inafikia wale watu hawezi kaa tena, na tumesikia wengine wanasema warudishe mbuzi wetu.
Vile iko tabia ama tuseme mambo ya kukosa tabia ni jambo liko katika kila watu wengine, lakini katika mambo ya itikadi na mila yetu ya Wakikuyu, msichana alikuwa anaolewa, anatolewa mahari akiwa kwao nyumbani. Hata akiwa bikira, hata kama msichana angeaguzwa na kijana ajaribu kidogo tu hivi, ilikuwa ni kesi kubwa sana. Msichana alikuwa anaolewa akiwa kwao, anatolewa mahali akiwa kwao, itafika siku ya mwisho ndio atachukuliwa kupelekewa kijana.
Lakini leo mambo imebadilika sana mkubwa.
Mambo imebadilika kwa sababu sasa watu wengi wanasema hawezi endesha gari kama hajaenda kufanya ile inaitwa road test. Unakuta ukiambia kijana achukue msichana tu hivi, anaona kama ni vibaya, lakini kwa kanisa ilikuwa ati ni ndoa takatifu. Lakini hata ukisikia kwa kanisa wanasema ndoa takatifu, unakuta ile shilingi imetolewa, imefanywa change, imetolewa shilingi elfu ile 1,000 imetolewa pesa. Kama wakati wa mila yetu walikuwa nasema jaribu kuniguza niende niambie baba ati elfu yake umetoa kitu, utianga ugegere baba na ngere maito ngiri uri kuheria shilingi. Hiyo ni kusema kopa, kwa sababu utachukua msichana wenyewe ukute ni mzee hata kuliko mama yako, kwa sababu labda ametoa mimba 10 na mama yako wako na watoto 5. Kwa hivyo si unaona sasa watu vijana wameanza kuogopa, wanasema huyu ni mzee hata kuliko mama yangu. Kwa hivyo ndio sababu wengine wanasema atafanya kitu hiyo inaitwa blood test. Lakini kawaida mila ya Kikuyu ilikuwa ni mila takatifu, na ni mila ama harusi ya Wakikuyu ilikuwa msichana akiwa bikira na kijana akiwa ameangalia mambo yake vizuri. Yeah.
Labda tukimalizia, hii leo tuko na hali ngumu ya maisha, uchumi umekuwa ghali sana, kukimu hitaji la chakula tu bali na mambo mengine inakuwa ngumu. Siku za nyuma wazazi wetu wakati mwingine walikuwa wanasema hakuna msichana ataingia hapa kabla sijaenda kutolea kijana wangu mahari. Mambo ni tofauti na hilo limekuwa ni swala gumu. Sijui utatoa ushauri gani?
Baba anaweza, mzee anaweza kukupatia msichana wake hata kama haujatoa hata kitu. Unaweza toa tu kitu kidogo na msichana akupatie kitu yake, akupatie msichana yake, aseme nimekupatia huyu msichana. Mimi nataka kusema hakuna msichana mdogo, hakuna kijana mdogo ambaye ni maskini. Hakuna kijana maskini, kwa sababu ako na maisha mingi na maisha marefu, ataenda kutafuta pesa. Kwa hivyo baba anaweza kupatia msichana wake hata kama uko na shilingi 1,000, aseme nyinyi endeni mukatafute, najua mtapata, kwa sababu hakuna kijana maskini. Wazee wanaweza kuwa maskini kwa sababu kama amefikisha miaka 90 na hana kitu, ako na siku chache tu labda ataenda. Lakini kijana anapewa tu, msichana anaambiwa endeni mkatafute pesa, wakati mtapata buzi mtakuja kuniletea. Kwa hivyo siku hizi tunahimiza wazazi wakubali vijana wapewe wasichana, hata kama hawana vitu wataenda kutafuta na watakuja. Ile kitu inahitajika ni heshima na wasikizane. Ndio.
Asante. Kwa labda sekunde 30, angalia ile kamera alafu utoe ushauri wako wa mwisho. Labda sekunde 20.
Kitu ya kwanza ushauri naweza toa katika jamii na katika nchi yetu ni kusema ya kwamba usichukue msichana wa wenyewe tu bure tu, unaenda unachukua msichana wenyewe unapeleka kwako, kwa sababu katika mila msichana, ukichukua msichana wenyewe enda kwa baba yake, useme huyu msichana mimi ndio niko nayo, na pia siwe utaenda, wazazi wako waambie nimechukua msichana wa mtu, tuende tukaseme mimi niko na msichana hapa. Hii inakuwa kitu ya maana sana katika mila yetu, na uwezi patikana na makosa. Lakini ukienda uchukue msichana wenyewe alafu apate shida kwako, itakuwa ni shida sana. Kwa hivyo ningetaka kufanya ushauri hiyo, kichukua msichana wenyewe, chukua wazazi, mwende mkasema mko na msichana wenyewe. Asante.
Naam, nashukuru sana kwa wakati wako Bwana Chairman.
Shukrani.
Asante kwa ushauri mzuri. Now, that is it. Very interesting topic there. You got it from Mr. Kigoshi Wawaimeri. He's a resident of Naivasha. Nonetheless, he traverses this country in matters to do with dowry functions, unlike other traditional ceremonies, and it was very insightful. Maybe perhaps another time we will be having him in our studios with more time to give an insight on this. That is it from me here, Limuki and Stanley. Back to you in studios, and quite a good note to ponder.
Right, and thank you, Willie Dennis Njiru, for that whole elaborate tips on how the Kikuyu community does all this. Lemuki, on Facebook, it is quite a lot of comments. Ajua, this particular, we can't really take a look at this, but even for guests, there's a very interesting comment here. So Sam L says, I've never come across valid reasons to do that. It is an overrated thing that does not add anything. In fact, it has more harm than good. So even as you also chime in on this particular comment, but Abbas, the whole matters of intermarriages, does it now pose a challenge? I mean, if I really wanted to look for our Njiku Palenje, and even as the traditionalist was saying, how the Kikuyu community does it, and I'm from the Gusii community, will it be a challenge on how the bride price negotiations will be done?
Yeah, definitely it will be, and I like what we are watching here because we are getting to learn from different cultures. Yes. I think it's our former president who said that Kenya is a hotbed of many cultures. And it's very interesting to just get to know about the other person's culture. Part of meeting a girl or meeting a boy is to begin to understand where you're coming from, what are your families, and what is expected from where you're coming. And if you are a young man going to pay dowry, then it's important to know what is expected of me from the other side. Don't go with your own ideas of what you do in your place. I remember a situation where somebody went to pay dowry and he went with their own culture in mind. And it was very offensive to the other culture, because there are some things we may do in our culture that can be very offensive to the other culture. And so you begin on a bad note. The very first visit was very offensive to the other person, and you're chased away. Not because you don't have the right amount, but simply because you have offended them in the way you did your things.
So basically you should do a reke first before.
You should always do your research. You should always go ahead and know. In fact, and it's good that now we are living in the city, so you have a friend who comes from that culture, then let him be the one who is helping you in that process. He can even, because he knows a lot about where he's coming from himself. So take a friend from the culture of the girl that you're falling in love with, so that he can then be your negotiator or your translator, or somebody who's going to help you understand. And I've done that for a friend of mine.
Okay.
He was coming to take a girl from my village, and I took them, and they were coming from a different part of the country. And I was the go-between, and up to this day, they really hold me in high esteem because I helped them understand the different cultures. So it's important for you to know that you're going to a different culture, and what is required from the culture that you're going to. How do they do their things? You know, every culture is a way of living. It's a way of life. I know Bishop was talking here earlier. When you talk about Christianity, unlike Islam, is not a culture in itself. It's cross-cultural. And it doesn't take away from our cultures, as long as it's nothing offensive to the belief in one God and what we and offering to that God. So we shouldn't be shy or put away our cultures. We come from somewhere and we live in a particular culture. Even now in the city, we are developing other cultures, and it's going to be another different way of doing things. Yeah. Culture is also progressive. So we need to be just in tune with them. But there are certain good things that we can pick from where we are coming from, and not just throw them away. And so let's take the good. We can throw away the bad, but let's take in the good and continue practicing. Like Grace said earlier, it's a banter. It's a way of cementing the relationship between the two families. It's a way of making a commitment. You make a statement. Because like the Mzee Kigosho said, you don't just take somebody and you're staying with somebody's daughter and you have not even seen the father. You have not gone there to say something. You know, you have to make that a statement of commitment. I think that's part of the dowry payment. Yes. But also compensate, not pay, but try to compensate. You know, when I'm compensating you, I may not give you everything that you're worth, but I'm just trying to show an appreciation by compensating the father of the girl.
Oh, yes. And Grace, I would ask, there's something that Kigosho there said, that there should be a mutual agreement between two people who are coming together. Do you think it would be a good idea now in this era to actually have those two people are now getting married to actually discuss what they want for each other for the dowry, then bring it to the table to both sides of the husband and the wife as well?
I think that should happen. It should happen because each of you know where you're coming from. You know how your family is financially. You know the extended family, how they are. Are they for you? Are they not for you? Are they able to afford what this other family is asking for? And, you know, either way. So it would be good to come and find out how much, okay, this is the idea. We normally take 4 goats or 8 goats or 20 camels. But can we say, because you can convince your parents, and plus that mzee, and I can convince our parents that we are starting this new life. So can we maybe say we bring 4 camels, or we bring 1 camel, or we bring something? Because the idea, again, like what Bishop was saying, the main idea is why are we coming together? What is the objective? Is the objective to rip you off, or is it to bring you together as one? So I think it would be a good idea, because sometimes when we don't do that, when the couple, when the negotiations begin, and you're told an amount that you had not expected, so now the lady feels that these people don't honor her, but the man is also feeling that you people don't honor us, you're ripping us off. So just a small discussion to just gauge, what do you think your parents will do? Talk to the parents, go back to your parents, talk to them about this other family. Not to despise them, but just to bring them on board that this is what is happening. So can we negotiate around this? Right. It helps a lot.
Right. I was taking a look at the comments on Facebook, quite a number of them, variating comments here. But there's an interesting one here, Bishop. And I remember back in 2019, if you remember, Kere dispelling the whole matters, the whole rumors of a dowry tax. And they're really reflecting here, they're saying, chungeni sana Ruto asione aseme, you know, some dowry tax. But then, you know, and also, you know, even people saying, Dr. Bob and Man saying, well, we're no longer in the era of barter trade. Dowry is as simple as barter trade. What are your comments on this?
Allow me to pick the earlier comment with a lot of concern.
On the dowry tax?
Yeah, no, the point where...
Oh, the first one.
I don't see the need. And I think this is an area we need to check, and parents now. And the reasons why. And
actually for him, and just to quote even for the viewer to get that particular comment, so Sam L says, I've never come across valid reasons to do that. It is an overrated thing that does not add anything. In fact, it has more harm than good.
Yes, because I feel like we need to ask ourselves a few questions. Now, where they are sitting down and demanding too much, basing on the quality of the girl, let's go to the other side. What about if the girl is not highly rated? Because we have different capacities. One never went to school, never managed to do, but here there is love. Do they have the right to demand, or how do they put it? A girl may be a problem in the family, maybe because of morals and all this. And once the family sees somebody coming by the gate to pick, and they say, tunakubarikia, you just go, you know. I think we need to look at ourselves. Are we really genuine? And that's why I said this is a matter of purpose. And again, look at it. Number 2, we have an issue of economy. For sure, a young man completing studies at 24, 23, and then working for a few years and feeling I want to get married. I don't think he has amassed that amount of money. So what do we need to do? We need to encourage, and that's why we have the come and stay, so many of them. And the girl is coached by the husband that in case your mom calls, please make sure you say this and this. They are trying now to survive, but they know there is something we need to do. We need to go and appreciate. Another thing is the high rate of separation and divorce. Supposing I drop the 20 million and I'm still not certain whether this girl will stick with me. Shall I go back and tell them to refer it? You know, I think these are the fears that are in the society. So we would like to answer that gentleman or whoever that there is a need to give dowry. But we are trying, and I think that is the reason why we are doing this talk, to help the society, even our elderly people. Can we consider all matters in balance, including culture and all this. We need to know, we need the future of our lives, our children. And may I also say this before I close there? It is also good to understand, and as we are telling these young people, I've seen it working, whether religiously or in culture. If I am the father to my daughter, like I have one, and somebody is coming to get her, it is even a shame. Should I start demanding and I never did the right thing? So I think that one is where the curse goes. Actually, we have seen where I come from, people have perished because of taking, eating, and they never did to their parent, because honor your father and mother. If that is the thing, then before I command them to honor me, let me honor mine.
Right. But you were mentioning the whole matters economy, and Flora, even as we take a short break, I reminded, even, I mean, earlier this week, there was, a whole junior accountant from Kera, the Rural Roads Authority, that about 21 million Kenyan shillings, he had a dowry account for it. So he's probably wondering, I had my own account for this. So right now I can't even afford food because it has been frozen by EACC. We'll take a short break, right, Flora?
Yeah. You know, when you come back, of course, our experts here, as well as the married counselors, will be answering that. But keep on interacting with us at TV47 News on X, TV47 Kenya on Facebook. The hashtag is Morning Cafe. We'll take a short commercial break now. Stay tuned. But we now cross over to Taita Taveta, where we'll be linking up with our reporter Julius Mariki to bring us up to date and tell us what is, how is the dowry process like in that community, and are people still holding onto the cultural beliefs up to now?
Well, from Taita Taveta County, I'll be joining some old men here who are spending their free time with friends, and I'll be joining them so that they can share with me what they think about the dowry issue, so that I can get some insight from them. Abo, karibu sana, pengine utueleze kwa majina yako. Utakuwa unasonga hapa karibu, utatueleza majina yako, alafu kisha utueleze umuhimu wa mahari ni nini.
Asante sana mwanangu. Mimi naitwa Michael Mwakio Momzi. Mimi ni mzaliwa hapa Taita, Mtaita kamili. Na kwa kweli kabisa mahari ni kitu ambayo iko ya kipekee. Maana kwa kweli kama mimi hapa tayari nimeshachukua wangu, nikamtoa kwao nikamleta kwetu. Kwa hiyo wazazi wangu walitoka kwetu wakaenda kwa mtoto wa yule nilimchukua kwao. Wakaenda wakaketi wakaongelea jinsi mtoto wao vile jinsi atakavyoweza kuishi katika ile boma. Ameenda la kigeni. Ndipo nasikia kwamba wengine wanasema kwamba tunataka mbuzi, tunataka ng'ombe, tunataka ndizi, tunataka nini, yani vyakula vile vya kienyeji. Sasa hii nafikiri ndio watu wengine tumebadilisha. Mtoto kike kama ameolewa, na wengine tunataka pesa, yale mandizi na nini hatubebi, maana hatuna ndizi siku hizi, hatuna hiyo vyakula vingine. Kwa hiyo tunatumia pesa kama watu wote tu wa Kenya.
Na pengine katika swala hili nzima mahari yana umuhimu gani?
Mahari kwa kweli ni kitu cha muhimu sana, hasa kwa uzidi katika kile kizazi chetu ambacho tunachokitarajia tukipate. Maana mahari inafanya uwe na watoto wako wasiwe na laana ama kupita, maana tunasikia kuna uko mwingine unapatikana na laana kwa sababu ya ukoso ya wazazi pale mtoto wa kike pale ametoka kwao, ambapo labda hawajapata chochote. Sasa wale watoto hata kuna maisha mazuri, utapata wengine wanakuwa mawazimu, wengine hawakai hawaishi, wanaenda tu kuzaliwa na kufa. Lakini sasa wakati wameenda kaketi wakaelewana, wakaketi pamoja wakanywa chai, basi wale watoto huo na baraka. Ndivyo nasikia ile mahari huo faida yake ndio hiyo. Mama.
Kwa hivyo kuna faida na kuna madhara ya kutotoa mahari ama kutoa mahari.
Kuna faida, kuna hasara. Nakuta watu wengi wanaanza wanaanza kuzaliwa vilema, wakichunguza sana ndio kwamba kuna mahari kitu ambacho wazazi wale wa msichana hawajakula kitu. Sasa wale manunguniko ya wale basi naanza kudhuru mpaka familia yako hapo na unayotarajia kuipata. Baba.
Okay, asante sana kwa maoni hayo Abo. Pengine utasonga tu hapa hivi karibu, utueleza pengine majina yako nani, alafu utueleze pengine swala hili la mahari. Pengine wewe mwenyewe mahari yana maana gani kwako?
Kwa majina naitwa Babisho Abdalla Balon. Mimi ni mzaliwa wa Tana River. Kuna kabila dogo sana pale linaitwa Munyoyaya, ndio natoka huko. Lakini nimekulia sehemu hizi za chini za upande wa Coast. Umuhimu wa mahari nitaelezea kwa sehemu mbili. Mimi kwanza ni Muislamu. Upande wa Waislamu mahari inatolewa na mume anampatia mke wake kulingana na yale waliokubaliana. Kwa hivyo upande wa Uislamu, kwa upande wa wazazi hawamo ama mtu yote usiki, isipokuwa ni mume na mke ndio wanaelewana, alafu ile mahali chochote kile ambao wameelewana ndio wanatoa. Nikirudi upande wa kimila sasa, wazazi mara nyingi huwa tunapeana mahari kwa wazazi. Sasa kulingana na mila yetu ama kulingana na desturi za Kiafrika, ile ni kuweka bond, kuweka yani umoja ya kuonesha kuwa huyu mtoto wetu tumempatia huyu bwana, na wale wanatoa mahari ili kushikanisha hizi familia mbili, ili yani isiwe ni kama umemlea mtoto na ameenda tu hivi hivi. Lakini upande wa kwetu huwa hakuna ati kuna laana fulani ama kuna shida fulani, ni ile tu kuleta familia ishikane iwe moja. Ukioa katika familia fulani na umetoa mahari yoyote, huo umeweka kama udugu, umeweka hizi familia mbili zimeshikana, wamekuwa kitu kimoja. Inakuwa sasa ile familia ile ni yako na ile familia hii nyote iko pamoja. Na athari ya kutolipa mahari sasa ni ya kuwa ni kama dharau. Umekuwa kama umechukua mtoto wa mtu na utaki kuappreciate ya kuwa huyu ni mtoto wa familia nyingine, na utaki kuweka hizi familia pamoja. unaweza kaa naye ndio, kwa sababu hata kama ni umeoa kidini wala nini, lakini kunaweza kuwa na ile haki, huyu mtu ametudharau, haku appreciate ya kuwa huyu mtoto tumemlea. Ni hapo tu ndio nafikiria katika hizo sehemu mbili nimejaribu kuelezea.
Asante sana kwa maelezo, na pengine niulize tu, kuna kiwango huwa kinawekwa, lazima ukamilishe kulipa kiwango kile cha mahari?
Upande wa Kiislamu tena nikirudi, ile hata kama mke wako akikwambia mimi nataka tu kiti, nataka tu shilingi 1000, nataka tu ile ambayo mmekubaliana, ile inalipika na imeisha. Na upande wa kisasa kikimila sasa, huwa hakuna specific amount ya kuwa kabila fulani lazima ulete ng'ombe 20 wala ngapi. Ni ile wazazi wenyewe wakikubaliana ya kuwa wanaweza kukuambia ya kuwa tunataka tu mbuzi wawili, tunataka tu shilingi 10,000, tunataka kiwango fulani ulipe. Lakini pia si mara nyingi ni huwa si vizuri sana ulipe ile mahari kwa pamoja, yani kwa kama umemnunua yule mtoto. Lakini huwa kiwango kidogo tu ukisha kulipa basi umeanza. Ile unaweza kulipa katika maishani mwako yote mpaka kifo kifike, unaweza ukalipa kidogo kidogo, kwa sababu ile bond bado utakuwa umeshikanisha. Si lazima ya kuwa kiwango fulani ukiambiwa ni hicho lazima ulipe. Na ikiwa basi wazazi watakuwa wanalazimisha ya kuwa lazima kiwango fulani kimelipwa, basi ni kama umemuuza ule mtoto. Ile kama mzazi mwenye busara ya kuwa kama atalazimisha ya kuwa lazima mtoto wangu ulipe kiwango fulani, ni makosa kulingana na fikra zangu ninavyofikiria na kulingana na vile watu wanavyoamini, ya kuwa si vizuri, ya kuwa kiwango tu kile ambacho hawa watoto wanaweza mudu na wakakupatia. Maana ile tu ni kama tu kitu tu wewe mwenyewe kama mzazi utafurahia. Kama mtoto wangu wa kike siwezi mlazimisha ya kuwa huyu kijana ambaye atakao mtoto wangu nimwambie nataka milioni 10. Wao wataanzishaje maisha yao ikiwa nitamlazimisha? Nitaweka katika ufukara. Lakini kile kidogo akinipatia maisha yao yaendelee, ile tu mimi nita appreciate tu ya kuwa hawa watoto na nitawabariki waishi maisha mazuri.
Karibu sana hapa hivi, pengine utueleze wewe pengine swala hili nzima unalichukuliaje kuhusiana na mahari?
Swala la mahari linategemea
pengine ukianza tu kwa kujitambulisha.
Mimi naitwa Michael Mwaura. Swala la mahari linategemea unaenda kuoa wapi, kwa sababu kila jamii iko na utaratibu wa kutoa mahari. Mahari ni kitu kile unatoa kwa sababu ya kuweza kushikanisha hizi jamii mbili. Na mahari ina kiwango inawekwa, nasemekana kama ni mbuzi 100 au ni mbuzi 10 au ni ngapi.
Well, that's our reporter Julius Mariki there, all the way from Taita Taveta, speaking to residents concerning matters, the importance of dowry. And of course, that conversation continues right in our studios. And I would ask you, Barnabas, do you think our westernization has really taken part in eroding our cultures as well as matters dowry now? Because I believe Kamwe Stay is not an African thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how do we navigate around that?
Thank you. Yeah, to a large extent, it's true, because in the Western culture, there's nothing like dowry. I mean, they just get married. And so we are becoming westernized just by our education, our exposure. So a lot of things are happening, and that is eroding our culture. To some extent, there's a good part of the Western culture that we need to, has helped in especially taking away those negative cultural beliefs and practices that are inhuman or don't value, especially like the other gender, the ladies. But we also have to be careful that it doesn't erode everything from us. I think the Waswahili walisema mwachamule ni mtumwa. So there's a pride that comes with us identifying with who we are. And I'm seeing a lot of people now changing, especially this young generation. Even the names, some of us had to have this kind of names to show that we were Christians. We had these English names. I don't know why we say they're Christian, but we had to have an English name. Now I'm seeing this younger generation, people have very interesting names coming from the culture, which I think is good because it's a way of us identifying ourselves. Yes. Culture is your identity, so we don't need to lose our identity. And that's why for me, even these dowry things are good in that sense, that we are proud of who we are as a people, as long as we don't use that against other cultures. Nothing wrong with that. And so we need to be very, very careful to safeguard some of this Western culture that is coming. I think the Mzee from Kisii was saying even the way divorce was handled then, is very different. Today we just wake up and go. Again, very, very, very Western mindset. We need to have our culture where that commitment was very strong, the family unit. And it's something we are losing now. The family unit was a very strong thing. And we lived in community. Probably that's why we survived a lot during COVID, because we live in community. People who live by themselves, one of the things that killed a lot of people during COVID in the Western world was that loneliness, which we don't have here, just being in that community. So those are very good things of our culture that we need to continue to preserve and not let go, not be allowed to be eroded by the Western influence.
Right. Grace, I want to get your woman perspective on this and the kind of burden that it might even have for the woman now during the whole marriage and even the whole dowry negotiations. I mean, you're telling us you cried at that time. I don't know, Barnabas alileta tissues ngapi akikwambia relax. But then even during the whole marriage, this woman feeling, and I've seen a couple of comments on the same, this woman feeling like I mean, this niko hapa juu kuna mbuzi fulani zililipwa ndio nikuwe hapa, o kuna pesa fulani ilitolewa ndio nikuwe hapa. So they have the whole mentality of I have been bought, quote unquote, to be here. Speak on that.
Okay, thank you. Yes, there is the issue of I have been bought, but there is also the issue of who am I in this marriage. Because you can't be living with somebody, it's a come, we stay, you're living with them 12, 15, maybe 28, 30 years, but nothing has ever been taken to your place. There's been no commitment. I think one of the most painful things for a woman is when you've lived with this person for maybe say 15 years and they walk away. And your parents don't know him as well, and your parents don't know who this person really was. Yes, you have children, but the two families had not come together to cement a relationship.
But as long as both of you are peaceful.
Oh yeah, yes, you're peaceful until one walks away. The peace is there until one walks away. Then you feel, I have wasted 15 years of my time. I had 3 children with you, or 4 children. Then you simply walk away. Nothing to show that we were really, okay, apart from the children, nothing to show that we were really, there was a commitment in one way or another. I don't have a relationship with my in-laws where I can even go and tell my in-laws, your son has now walked away with another woman. How do they fight for me? How do they even say that, oh, really? They'll even ask, who are you? According to us, we know we have, yes, grandchildren, but we really don't know you. So you see, the whole aspect of dowry is let somebody know that, yes, there's this other family. They will fight for you. Ideally, your in-laws need to fight for you. And the in-laws need to fight for the other person. So I think it is important for us to know that that relationship needs to be cemented, and there needs to be commitment. But you've also asked about the woman knowing that, yes, these ngombes were brought, or the mbuzis were brought here, and so on there. We have said that you cannot put a value, on a person. You can't say they cost this amount of money or equate them with any amount of money. And in the olden days, there was a pride when the bride price was paid, because somebody would say, oh, they brought 60 cows, or they brought 40 cows, or they brought 20 cows. So it looked like the more cows and the more, it was never chicken, I wonder why, but the more cows and the more goats that were brought, then wow, it looked like they valued you, they honored you. They said, these people have come from a good family. She's married into a good family. But that has also been used as an abuse, because the man can feel like, because I married you for this, you're like what he said, you're like a commodity. So for me, I can step on you anytime. I can do anything that I want with you, because I know that it's my money that bought you. It is my money that I put there. So anytime that I say you need to jump, you jump. You know, there is no value, as opposed to where a woman wants to just submit out of that attitude and out of that love.
Yes.
It's almost like you must submit.
Yeah.
You're put under the foot because I paid dowry for you.
Interesting. And Bishop, even as you give your final remarks, there are cases now of women get children out of wedlock, and now comes the time for paying the dowry. How do you go about that religiously and also traditionally?
Now, with the issue of having children out of marriage, we have seen, and I guess you're talking about this girl now has grown up and needs to be, I want to say, as much as we know the girl was born from a certain context of love and unity, we look at now what has progressed, because some just dumped and went. So whoever has brought up this girl has a bigger share of this kind of a negotiation. But should the both parents appear, this is where we say they are allowed to release, because remember the fact of the blessings. They are allowed now to release the blessings together. If the father has appeared at that stage, there should be no block. And there's something interesting. I wish time was there, but there's the issue of
Actually,
this.
time has run out.
Yeah, there's a marriage that happened, after Rebecca, who became the mother of Jacob and Esau. You remember, they organized that Jacob would go back there and get a wife. So when he went to her brother's house, Laban, you remember the story that when Jacob loved Rachel, Laban, the brother of Rebecca, it's like he remembered when my sister, your mother, was being married, we saw a lot of properties were brought, and here you are coming, so nothing. So I think he placed a demand. You have to work for 7 years. And worst of all, after the 7 years, never got Rachel, got Leah. And again, he said, if you still want Rachel, we give the firstborn first. So what you're going to do, another. You stay with the two of them, but you have a debt of 7 more years. I think that's where he said, it is never complete at once. There is still that progress. But I don't like that design of Laban. Maybe next time I'll explain why.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yes.
Grace, final remarks?
Well, I would say that dowry is not bad as long as it is not commercialized. It is a way of appreciating the other family and bringing us together, because life is about relationships. The rest need details. Life is about relationships.
Great. Barnabas?
The good bishop will tell you from the scriptures that it says the letter killeth, the spirit gives life.
Yes.
So let's not look at how to commercialize it or look at the letter of the dowry, but look at the spirit behind it. Is to bring two families together, is to make a sense of commitment for you as a man going to take the lady, honoring the parents, and for the girl to be assured and secure that, yes, this person has come and I've been taken from my father's house. That's why even in weddings, it's the father who gives you to the man. So it's that honor is important and cementing the relationship between the two families.
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much.
I'm taking a look at question. It says, Hadi Miongezo of Day. Honorable Stephen Koech, not such. Dave Omoke, is can we stay respectful? That is that particular question.
Okay, that is just some of the feedback from Facebook, and of course, time now to wrap up this edition of Morning Cafe, and I've really enjoyed this conversation actually, and I think there's just a lot to learn, and it's good